Why is everybody putting up with ads like it's 2010? Like, it's 2025, guys. Just use Pi. This Chrome extension takes 5 seconds.
I took two things that I love, dancing and dogs, and I made them into a successful business. Hi,
Oh, I'm stupid. I just realized that the mic wasn't on. Alright, can you hear me? Can you hear me pretty good? Alright. Alright, this should be working now. Testing, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, but you're echoey. You're quiet and echoey. Shit. Let me try something. Hello? Is this a bit better? Is it still echoey or no? This is better? Alright, cool. Let me try listening to it on my own thing to see what it sounds like. Still, yeah? Alright, cool. My bad. I was trying to create a type of atmosphere if I'm able to. This is better? Alright, cool. Let me try listening to it on my own thing to see what it sounds like. Alright, cool, there we go. So just for the record, I'm probably going to stumble over my words, all that in between, but hey, just hang in there with me. We're now gonna stumble onto Borrasca Part 2. But before we do, let me turn that volume down a bit. Borrasca Part 2. Underneath the triple tree, there is a man who waits for me. And should I go, or should I stay? My fate's the same, either way. Good morning. The words faded back into the ether and I awoke with a start. Jimmy Prescott was lounging against the wall near the door, an amused yet disapproving look on his face. Shit. Sorry, Mr. Prescott. I didn't hear you come in. You know I worked here when I was a kid too. I installed the bell on the door for this very reason. Didn't seem to wake you up though. He laughed. I mumbled, Another apology, and idly straightened the stack of business cards in front of me. Late night? Very late night? Ah, kinda. On second thought, very. I hope you weren't out at the bonfires with all the other underage drinkers. No, sir? Yep. Good. Anyway, I'm just here for my lunch. I'll take a Parmesan chicken with avocado on rye. Yes, sir. Happy that conversation was over, I walked over to the sandwich counter and unwound the twisty tie from the rye bread. Jimmy Prescott stepped back from the counter and idly studied the pictures on the wall. Though he'd seen them 1,000 times before, more of the photos were of the Prescott family, taken over the last century. I always thought it was odd decor, but then the shop was named after them all. Is Mira here? Prescott asked as I wrapped up his sandwich. She's in the back. Ah, I thought she'd still be in St. Louis. Well, when you're finished, would you mind getting her for me? Shit. Yes, sir. I handed him his sandwich and went back to find Mira. She was in the office, fiercely punching the keys on her accounting calculator. Mira? Jimmy Prescott is out front. He wants to talk to you. She turned and gave me a dubious look. Did he say what about? I shook my head. Okay, she said. You can go home for the day, Sam. But are you sure? I still had 3 hours on the clock, I told her. He's the only customer we've had since we've opened. Don't worry, I'll pay for your whole day, kiddo. Thanks, Mira. Good luck, I guess. I gave her a sympathetic shrug and she patted my arm. I didn't know how she did it. Mira was perhaps the most burdened and stressed out woman in all of Drisking, but she never failed to be unbelievably kind. There was a hopelessness about her, a sadness that she hid very well. I left the store out the back door so I wouldn't have to see Jimmy Prescott again. His weird yellowed amber eyes always set me on edge. Not to mention he was a total tool. I hopped in my car and texted Kyle that I was off for work. He answered immediately and told me to beat him. I happily whipped my apron off over my head and threw the car in reverse. Crystal Lake was my favorite place in all of Drisking. I had to park almost a mile away since the lake was so packed. I eventually found Kyle and Kimber sitting on the rock that jutted out over the beach. Kimber was sunbathing in a blue floral bikini, and Kyle was wearing his "no one can tell where my eyes are" looking sunglasses. What did I miss? I asked, sitting down next to Kimber. Not much, she answered, stretching and sitting up. Just more beer? She dug into the cooler behind her and tried to hand me a Blue Moon. No. I waved it away. Got any Excedrin? Oh no, Kimber gave me her "I'm sorry" pout. Okay then, I'll just take those sunglasses. I held my hand out to Kyle, who looked back at it in horror. What? No, fuck off. Oh, come on, Kyle. Give me your sunglasses. Give him your sunglasses, actually. Sam didn't get to sleep off his hangover like we did. I smiled at Kyle and he tightened his lips. We both knew exactly what I was doing. Kimber stroked Kyle's arm in encouragement. Please, she asked. Fine, he said, and shoved his blue blockers at me. I put them on and sat back, turning my head to watch the girls on the beach below. Phoebe Dranger, a dark-haired girl, was there laying on the tile next to round face and giggling. It still seemed unnatural to me to see the two of them off without rude nose. The three of them had been very inseparable, working as fluidly together as the gears in a watch until Christy had fallen in love with some college kid and ran away. So, why'd you get out of work early anyway? Kyle asked. Prescott came in. Ew, Kimber squirmed. He totally freaks me out. He's been staring at me since like 5th grade. Next time he stares at you, let me know and I'll knock him the fuck out, Kyle had answered. He'd always been overprotective over Kimber, but ever since they started dating, it gotten 10 times more unbearable. Kimber winked at him. So, what did he want, Sam? He wanted to talk to Mira. Probably about the sandwich shop. You mean about how no one goes there and the business should have closed years ago, but it won't because the Prescotts are stubborn and vain? Kyle said. Yeah, probably. I mean, she looked pretty worried. I can count on one hand how many sandwiches I've sold in the past month. Ouch. Kimber grimaced. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's gonna get chewed out. I really don't like that guy. I thought about the squirmy, yellow-eyed freak yelling at sweet little Mira, and it made my blood boil. You should have met his dad, Kyle snorted. He's a real piece of work. His dad, I said? Yeah, Tom Prescott, Kimber said. The family put him in a home a few towns over. Why is he in a home? I heard he got dementia and was embarrassing the family in public. I heard that too as Kimber brushed it off, her long curls off of her shoulders. I always liked Tom Prescott, but that was a pretty shitty thing to do. Hey kids, someone yelled. We turned in unison, so seeing Phil Saunders come stomping out of the bushes behind us with Mike's son following behind. So this is where the cool people hang out, high above the kingdom on Pride Rock. Sup, Mike? Cal said, ignoring Phil, whom he disliked ever since Phil had briefly dated Kimber. Phil was either unaware of or uninterested in Kyle's feelings, of course. That may have also been because, well, Phil was stoned out of his mind for just literally no reason. And now was just no reception either. They sat down next to us, and Mike offered me his pipe. Want to hit this? I did want to hit it, and pretty badly. I reached up to grab it, but Phil swatted my hand away. Careful, guy. You don't want to get the sheriff's son high, for fuck's sake, Mike. Mike nodded knowingly and shoved the pipe back into his pocket. I scowled and said, really? Sorry, Sammy. Hell, the only reason I'm even smoking around you is because today is my cousin's death anniversary, and I don't give a shit about anything else. Your cousin Hannah? Kimber asked with a sympathetic look. Yep. 5 years she's been gone. Too many people disappear in these woods, man. Mike said as he exhaled a cloud of smoke. Yeah, man. You know, sometimes when I'm high, I can see them all. My bad, we're just gonna have the music off for now. And I feel like I know the answer to the mystery, man. Like, I'm so close to solving it. It's just something I can see. Like, they're all puzzle pieces, and I'm in my mind. I see the puzzle put together, but I can't tell what the picture is of. You know? You're fucking high, Saunders, Kyle said. We all are. We all are, man. Everyone in this town is drinking the fucking Kool-Aid. Kimber raised an eyebrow at him, but said nothing. Everyone except the dead ones. I can see what they looked like before they went to the ground, or is it the grounder? Shit, I don't know, man, Mike said to the space in front of him. Yeah, I see all those people. Hannah, Paige, Jason, Medley. Hell, I even see your sister, Walker. Cal, who I know had been monitoring the conversation for mention of this very thing, sprang to his feet and opened his mouth to yell at Phil. No, Whitney Walker ran away to St. Louis, remember? Mike said. I saw Kyle and Kimber exchanged a quick look as I tried to remain impassive from behind the blue blockers. "That's true, man?" Phil asked, and there it was. I knew Cal and Kimber had always wondered what I thought about Whitney, and if I ever accepted the official statement that she just ran away with Jay, that they ran away together. They were kind enough to never bring it up, but I knew that they wanted to know what I believed, what I really thought had happened. I loved them both, and I wanted to talk to them about it, but I just couldn't. Everyone thought I had spent the last 7 years quietly grieving and that I put the incident behind me. At least that's what I tried to show them. The truth is, I never gave up on Whitney. I had waited for years for Jay to show up on social media, and when I finally found him last year, I was devastated. Beyond devastated. I'd always hoped that the official report was right, and that Whitney was somewhere far away from here, alive and happy with Jay Bower. But his MySpace page just showed a thriving teenager, still living at home with his parents. His ex-girlfriend, Whitney, the furthest thing from his mind. And when I brought that piece of evidence to my dad, he read the pages I printed off and then shut the door to his office with me on the other side. I heard him crying for hours. Hours in there as I waited for him to reopen the case and bring the smackdown on the Butler County Sheriff's Department. But justice had never came, and we never mentioned Jay Bower again. For whatever reason, I never told Cal and Kimber about any of that. Maybe it was because I was worried they'd blow it off like my dad had, or maybe, far more likely, I didn't want them to know how obsessed I was. How obsessed I became with Borrasca and the skinned men. I knew as absurdly as the sun would rise tomorrow that Whitney's death had happened at there, just like all those who went to the Triple Tree. I was suddenly very aware of 4 pairs of eyes staring at me. "Yeah, it's true. She ran off with this guy, Jay, from our hometown," I answered. And that was enough for Cal. "Alright, guys. Seriously, he's a sheriff's kid. What do you think is going to happen if he gets caught with weed?" "The little man is right, Phil. Let's bounce. I don't need any more trouble with the cops around here," Mike said. Later, Walker, Kimber, little man. Phil stood up, brushed off his pants, and jumped from the boulder onto the sandy beach below. He sprayed sand all over a couple of freshman girls who squealed and called him an unthoughtful ass. Phil tipped his invisible hot hat to them and said, "Ladies," before walking off. Mike followed him down, and as I watched them make their way down the beach, I became aware of the conversation going on behind me. "I didn't say I wanted to go. I said I had to go," Kimber said. "It's only 2 o'clock and it's Sunday." "I know, but my parents have been fighting a lot lately, and I don't want to leave my mom alone for too long." "I thought she was doing better." "A little, but she's depressed, Cal." "Do you want to stay over at my place tonight?" Kimber's voice dropped into a whisper. I just don't think I just don't think I'm ready for that yet." "What? No, wait, that's not what I meant. I'd sleep on the pull-out in the basement, and you would have my room." Very awkward silence ensued. "My parents love you, you know," he added. Kimber laughed. "I know, I just want to be there for my mom right now, but thank you, sweetie." In the absolute disgusting sound of my best friends kissing. Never will I ever get used to that. And on that note, I'm out of here too. I stood up and gave them both a shaming look. "Oh, come on, Sam. Don't be jealous. We'll find you a girlfriend someday," Kyle joked. really don't need your help with that, I muttered, glancing down the beach to where Emmeline Adler was sunbathing. I'll see you guys tomorrow, last week of school. Kimber yelled at my retreating back. Thank God! Tomorrow was the last Monday of the school year. And while I should have been thankful my sophomore year was ending, I wasn't. The summer meant no distractions, more time to think, and even more hours of boredom at Prescott artesian sandwiches. But I wasn't looking forward to tomorrow for another reason. Besides it being Monday, it was also sophomore ditch day. My dad had caught up on that several weeks ago and warned me to set a good example and go to school that day. Sometimes I really hate being the son of a cop. Kimber and Kyle were sympathetic and had offered to share my misery. I had, of course, said yes, much to Kyle's sadness. As I expected, my dad was waiting for me when I got home. We shared a brief, strained conversation about our respective days, and then he finally got to it. Remember, Sammy, we're cracking down on truancy this year. I want to see you at school tomorrow. Yeah, I got it, Dad. And I hope I won't have to write a ticket to Cal either. I sighed. It's just a tradition. Even the teachers sort of encourage it. On Friday, they said, I don't care what they said, Sam. Besides the fact that I'm the sheriff, I'm also your father, and I want my son in school. I laughed and shook my head. What a joke. I can't control what Kyle does. Fair enough, but you can control what you do. I said nothing, and Dad sighed. It's almost over, Sam. Just get through these last 5 days, and you can be done with school for a few months. Fine. I walked out of the kitchen, rudely ending the conversation. I climbed the stairs and passed by Whitney's door on the way to my room. The light was on and silence was behind it. I knew my mother was in there. She's always in there, doing God knows what. I walked to my own room, shut the door behind me, and locked it. The next day at school ended up being more embarrassing than anything else. There were a few other people that hadn't skipped, maybe a total of 10 of us, and the looks they shot at me made it clear that my dad was the reason they were there. Kimber, great friend as she was, happily went to her classes like it was a normal day. Kyle attended all of my classes with me. The teachers who had been looking forward to an easy day couldn't have cared less. Just before lunch, an officer came around to all the classrooms and asked for copies of the attendance sheets. Dad really wasn't kidding about cracking down this year. I was going to get shit from everyone all summer. At lunch, Kyle and I went to the car to smoke. Usually we were hidden by dozens of large pickup trucks, but today we were in the open and vulnerable. I moved the car to a shady corner of the parking lot. Wow, I just love that. I love the fact that, sorry to break you away from the immersion. I love the simple fact that, this fucking headset loves to turn off every couple of minutes or so. So yippee-yay, yippee-dow. But right back to it. I moved the car back to a shady corner of the parking lot, and Kyle pulled out his bowl. Did you text Kimber? I asked him while he hid it. Yep, as he said through tight lips as he let the smoke sit in his lungs and then blew it out all over my dashboard. She went home around fourth period. She said her mom called me and she was going home to take care of her. I don't know, man. Doesn't her mom hate you, I asked, taking my turn with the bowl. Yeah, I mean, that's a fairly new development. Ever since Kimber and I started dating. But I'm pretty sure she hated me and just hid it before. Now that she's all depressed and whatever, she doesn't give a shit. It was hard to picture anyone hating Kyle. Why can't Kimber's dad take care of her? I don't know, he said, and I hit the pipe again. Hey man, let's not even go back today, Kyle said. You think? Yeah, I mean, you put in 4 periods. You've been a good son. And Officer Dickass already came around and collected the attendance sheets. Dickass? Really? You're better than that, man. Officer Astic? You're worried. Oh, don't worry, man. You're doing good. Oh, yeah, thank you. You're fucking baked, Kyle. Seriously, man, let's go. I thought about it a second, and Kyle was right. I'd done my duty as a son, and if I left now, I'd have enough time to get to GameStop before work. Fuck it, I said, and I turned on the ignition. Kyle sat up in his chair and rolled down the window to clear out the smoke. Hey man, can you drop me by Kimberly's? Sure, but how are you going to get home? Can you come get me after work? What if her mom throws you out again? Cal rolled his eyes. That was one time. Why can't I just drop you at home and you can take your own car? It needs new tires. New tires, of course. What Kyle really meant was that his insurance had lapsed and he didn't have any money for gas. Anyway, he bought the car last summer after working double shifts at the convenience store for half a year. It was an okay car. Newer, but I knew he'd only wanted it just so he can impress Kimber. Something he vehemently denied. I mean, really. Had it worked? Not in my opinion. They started dating in the fall, and Kyle quit his job to spend more time with her. Kimber didn't seem like the type of girl to be impressed by a Pontiac Bonneville, but Kyle was convinced that was how he'd won her over. I was sure all the car had really done was give him the confidence to ask her out. And now that his part in their romance ended. Oh. Well, the car sat in the garage of the Landy home collecting dust instead of memories. GameStop didn't have what I wanted either, and neither did Drisking Games and Media. Since I had nothing else to do, I decided to show up to work early and hope that Mira would let me leave early too. I parked in front and walked in the door, unsurprised to see no one at the front counter. There were only 3 of us that worked at the shop, and sadly I never got to see the other girl, Emmeline, who worked on the days I didn't. This is disappointing to me since she was half the reason I applied there in the first place. I went into the back to tell Mira I was there and found her slumped over her desk on a pile of receipts and paperwork. This wasn't an unusual way to find Mira, but something seemed different today. I immediately felt a disturbance on the force, but before I could run away, she turned towards me. And I saw it was right to flee. Mira was crying. Are you, are you, I'm sorry, she said quickly, wiping her eyes away. Is it 4 o'clock already? No, it's 2:15, I said, awkwardly while rubbing the back of my head. I just thought maybe if I came in early. Oh right, it's your ditch day. Mira wiped her eyes, only to have them fill with tears again. I don't understand, Sam. The store had been operating in the red ever since I was hired to manage it. What am I doing wrong? I don't know, I offered lamely. The instinct to escape never stronger. It grew never stronger. No one comes in here. Ever. And Mr. Prescott refuses to let me put signs up to advertise. He says they're unsightly. But how does he expect me to pull in business? I need this job. Sam, God, I must have looked like a frightened deer, because when Mira glanced over at me, she seemed to suddenly collect herself. Go ahead up and go out the front. Go out to the front. I'll do your time card. She didn't have to tell me twice. I really liked Mira, but I hated seeing her like this. The front didn't do much better. I could hear Mira crying over the store's dated music track. Her sobs went from painfully audible to then muffled whimpers. After half an hour, I decided I had to do something. Since I was there, entirely unequipped to deal with what was an adult woman's emotions, I decided to call Mira's husband, Owen. He was thankfully at home and answered on the second ring. "I'll be right there," he said. I breathed a sigh of relief when I heard a car pull up outside and saw the tall, girthy Owen get out of it. He walked in during a quiet lull in his wife's breakdown. "I'm sorry to call you at home, Mr. Daly. I just didn't know what else to do." "That's okay, Sam. You did the right thing." He looked tired, and I could tell the situation wasn't new to him. "Is she okay? I mean, like, will she be okay?" "Oh, yeah," he nodded. "We're just going through some things." "Oh, Mira said the store is going bankrupt, too." I winced as soon as the words were out of my mouth. "Yeah." Owen ran a hand through his hair. "That's part of it. Although I don't think Jim is going to let that happen. Mira's more upset about..." He sighed. "Has Mira told you about her appointments?" No. Well, we've been trying to get pregnant for years. Long, painful years. It's just so goddamn important for her to have a baby, and she blames me for our problems." He walked around the room, staring at the pictures, not really talking to me anymore. "I understand why it's important to her. I just don't understand the obsession with it. Because she's the last one in her family, the last McKeskey on the planet. I mean, does she even realize that her baby wouldn't be a McKeskey? He'd be a Daly. I tell you, Sam, never marry a woman with a crazy father and 4 dead uncles. They develop these obsessions with lineage," and I cut him off, saying, "4 dead uncles? What?" Oh yeah, the famous ones. The 4 brothers who died in the Drisking mines? Well, that only left her dad, and her parents were only able to conceive her, which leaves her as the last McKeskey and hope for the bloodline. So of course you see how this is all my fault. I looked at him blankly and he sighed. "I'm sorry, kid. These aren't your problems, and they're way above your pay grade anyway. I'm just very stressed these days. Very stressed out these days. Our fertility issues and Mira's absolute abhorrence to her only other option is..." I cut him off. "But how did they die?" I was desperate to talk about anything else, and the store of Mira's uncles interested me more. "The McCaskey boys? I don't know. They died on the mountain somewhere." "Oh, well, have you heard of the Skinned Men?" "Skinned Men?" he said. Fucking shit. Okay. Bloody hell. Yeah, I don't think so. What about Borrasca? Owen Dowdy squeezed his eyes shut and pushed in on his temples with his fingers. What? What does a Borrasca have to do with anything? "Owen!" Mira's voice squeaked from the doorway. "Oh, baby, are you okay?" Sam called the house. "I want to do it." You do?" Owen asked dubiously. "I called him." His eyes flickered over to me, and I immediately looked away. Another conversation I didn't want to be a part of. "Sam, why don't you take off for a day? Mira and I will handle things from here." Okay, I mumbled and bolted for the door. Once I was in my car and backing away, I called Kyle. Dude, fucking weird shit is going down in this town. I can't explain it over the phone. Where are you at? I'm at Kimber's. Are you off work? Yeah, I'm coming to get you, I told him. By at Kimber's, Kyle meant sitting on the curb in front of the house, kicked off the property again. When I pulled up, Kimber came out and met us at the curb. I'm so sorry, Kyle. She's very upset today. She wouldn't even let me leave the house to sit with you. It's okay, he said. Don't worry about me. I just want to make sure you and your mom are okay. We're okay. And my dad will be home soon. Text us when you get home and we'll come get you, I said. I wish I could. I'm babysitting until 7:30. Maybe after that? Sure. Kyle and Kimber hugged goodbye, and then Kimber rushed back to her house as something crashed inside. So, what's going on? Kyle asked, taking a drink of the warm Dr. Pepper sitting in my cup holder. You're still wearing your apron, you know? Mira had a breakdown, I said, peeling it off. Really, what happened? I told Kyle the full story, giving particular attention to the four uncles. Yeah, the McCaskies? I've heard of them. Didn't know Mira was one. Though I thought they were all dead. Yeah, she's the last one, so do you think the McCaskies does have anything else to do with the other disappearances? It had been a while since I mentioned anything about Borrasca, and Kyle choked a little on the Dr. Pepper. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe if the disappearances started around the same time, maybe. How can we find that out? Maybe the cops? There have to be police reports. Okay, but what if I couldn't ask my dad? Kyle shook his head. I don't know then. What about wreckers, the historical society people maybe? Oh yeah, he said. We can try them. He nodded. They're over on 2nd. They share an office with Drisking Arts and Antiques. I made a U-turn and started back towards town. Hey, why are we doing this? I know the question was coming. I'd hoped to have more answers myself before I could give him one. Just Whitney was all I could say. Kyle didn't ask anything more. The Historic Preservation Society of Drisking was at the back of the building, and we had to walk through the antiques shop as the owner, Mr. Dranger, eyed us warily. At the end of a short hallway, we found a small room with 2 desks pushed together. One was empty and the other one was stacked high with books and folders of loose paper. We could hear someone typing behind the stacks. I cleared my throat. Hello? A small woman popped up from behind the desk. I recognized her as the same woman who gave us a lecture in 5th grade. Hello? How can I help you boys? She asked, walking out to greet us. Yes, I have a few questions about Drisking's history, I guess. Oh, great. Is this for an end-of-the-year report? Have a seat, boys. She gestured to the empty seat sitting behind the other desk. I nodded at Kyle, and he sat down looking uneasy. Yes, for an essay we have to write. Hey, I think you gave a lecture to us 7 years ago at school. Oh, yes, I give that lecture every year with Mr. Prescott, she smiled. Yeah, it was you and the other guy, too, a bald guy, Kyle said, shifting uncomfortably in a wooden chair. Yes, that was my fiancé, Wyatt Dowding. He passed several years ago. Oh, Kyle said. So, Miss Scanlon, but you can call me Catherine, she said. Catherine, I said. I hated calling adults by their first names. We want to know about the McCaskey kids. Ooh, Catherine said, shaking her head. A dark part of history, but still history nonetheless. Yeah, so when did that happen? And how did they die? Kyle added. Well, they didn't die. They certainly perished in the mines, but their bodies were never recovered, so we don't know the answer to that. I would think hydration, starvation, and exhaustion killed them, within days of getting lost down there. And to your second question, that was 1953, I believe. And the mines closed that year? Well, actually, the mines officially closed the year after. There was a legal spat between the city and the Prescott family, who wanted to leave the mines open until the bodies were found. The city won and the mines were condemned. Wait, why did the Prescotts care? Don't you want to write this down? Catherine asked. Kyle tapped his head twice with his finger. Catherine shrugged and continued. Well, the Prescott and the McCaskey family were closely related. Tom Prescott was paying teams of unemployed miners to go down in the mines and search for the bodies. The city had enough of all of it. The mountain was unstable and they didn't want any more deaths. The mines had been abandoned years before and were structurally unsafe. After the city banned the recovery teams from the mines, members of the Prescott family started going down there themselves. And finally, the city had enough and the mines were collapsed. With bombs? Cal asked. Well, with explosives. And that's what led to the incident, quote unquote. By this time, the mines had become very unprofitable. For a few years, the city was quite broke. They hired a less than reputable company to collapse the mines, and well, when they set off the explosives, they accidentally broke into Drisking's water table. The city went into debt trying to purify the water of silt and iron ore. It wasn't until 2 years later that the things started getting better, thanks to the Prescotts who truly did revitalize Drisking. Cal's phone chirped and he pulled it out of his pocket. It's Kimber. She wants us to come over. Okay, thanks, Miss Scanlon. I mean, Catherine. Sure. If you have any questions, feel free to come by. We're almost always open this time of the day. Oh, or you can email me. She dug into her jacket pocket and pulled out a loose business card. It was creased and had a dirty smudge on it. Thanks. So what do you think? Kyle asked when we got in the car. I don't know, it's weird, isn't it? I mean, why would the Prescotts give a shit if the town suffers after they refuse to help them find their family and were actively working against them? Maybe they forgive and forgot. Kyle shrugged. Does Jimmy Prescott seem like a guy to forgive and forget to you? No, his dad even seemed worse. Exactly. Maybe we should. Turn here. Kimber's still babysitting. She's over on Amherst. When we pulled up, Kimber was out in the front yard with two young boys who were playing in the driveway. She was holding a sleeping baby and waved to us. We parked in the driveway and she introduced us to the two older kids. They gave us hellos and ran off to continue their game. Once they left, we'd explained everything that happened to Kimber while she listened and rocked the baby in her arms. Sam is right. That doesn't make any sense, but why are we even concerned about something that happened decades ago? Whitney, Cal said, so I didn't have to. A flash of surprise crossed Kimber's face as she walked over to put the baby down in his playpen. Back in business. This headset just loves turning on and off, I guess. And then she walked back and pulled me in to give her one of her super famous, comforting, not at all, awkward hug. It felt really nice. When she released me, she began to pace around the driveway. Okay, so we think somehow Whitney got involved in all of this, and you're right. If we want to figure this out, we need to start at the beginning. Phil is right. Every mystery in this town is one piece of a larger puzzle. It's all related. And she stopped and looked over at us. We need to go to the source if we want answers. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I know he likes to hang out in the hideaway and get drunk with ex-Sheriff Cleary. No, Kyle, not Jimmy, his dad. Tom? He's so crazy they put him in a home. He's the horse's mouth, though, isn't he? Jimmy isn't likely to know as half as much as his dad. But, as Kyle and Kimber argued, I watched the kids chase each other around around the tree in their front yard, and there seemed to be something carved in the back. Not unlike the triple tree at Ambercott Fort. I was too far away to read what it said. He got you, he got you, I heard the youngest one call to his brother. The Skinman got you. Now you have to die. Nuh-uh, Peter. I was touching the tree. No, you weren't. You're a liar. One of them got you, and now you have to meet the shiny gentleman. No, I don't. Kimber, Josh is cheating. I shuddered and turned away from him. Where's the nut house? I interrupted. Is it close? It's not a nut house. It's more like a hospice, Kimber chided. The rumor I've heard is that he's at the Golden Elm, and that's in Cape Girardeau. That's about 40 minutes away, Kyle said and pulled his phone out. I'll check the visiting hours for Tuesday. Sam, do you work tomorrow? I work every day, but I'll get out of it, I promised. Okay, cool. Let's plan to leave after school. The following day dragged on like any last Tuesday of the school year. Most people talked about what they did with their ditch day, or complained about a cop showing up to their house to issue them a ticket while sliding less than pleased looks at me. When the final bell rang at 3:30, I grabbed my bag and booked it out to my car. Kyle and Kimber were already waiting for me. The drive took longer than we expected when I got lost in Cape Girardeau. The town was bigger than Drisking, and the streets, well, the streets weren't laid out with any sort of planning or logic. By the time we arrived at Golden Elm, we only had 20 minutes left for visiting hours. We're here to see Thomas Prescott, Kimber told the nurse at the front desk. We let her do the talking since she had a disarming, old-fashioned charm about her that put people in a friendly mood. Old Tom? Wow, he hasn't had a visitor since Christmas when his son came up. Sign the check-in sheet and take a visitor sticker. Hi, what just happened? Oh, we're reading Borrasca. We're reading some horror. Do you know where his room is? Are you family then? The nurse arched a thin, suspicious eyebrow. I'm sorry, we don't. My mother has been asking me to check in on my great-uncle while she's away doing Doctors Without Borders. I should have got more information from her, but you know, she only has so many minutes to call home. Oh, of course, dear. Let me get someone to escort you. An orderly led us to Tom Prescott's room, which we found empty. He pointed down the hall and he said, he likes to read in the sunroom. We walked down the hall and found an old, thin man sitting alone and whispering to himself. He was sitting at a table in front of a backgammon board, moving chess pieces around it. Tom Prescott, Kimber said, smiling. He didn't look up, and I wondered if he even heard us at all. Kimber took a deep breath to try again, but the old man suddenly slammed his fist on the table. I'm him, goddammit. I'm Mr. Thomas Prescott. Don't call me Tom. People's kids used to have more respect. I'm sorry, sir, Kimber said gently as she sat down in the chair opposite to him. You kids have no respect. Do you even know who I am? It's my son that's done it. That boy's mama should have whipped him, but she was soft, and now he's running around my town, spreading his vulgarity and disrespect. Well, no wonder Mr. Tom is all alone. He's a wrinkly, old, crisp-crinkled bitch. Our apologies, Mr. Prescott. We never meant to be disrespectful. We gently admire you. You're the man who built our town into what it is today. Everyone remembers that. Drisking was suffering and the town was dying, and then you fixed it. We know that. I did what I had to do, the old man grumbled. It was my town. It still is. Who are you, little girl, to come in here and suggest otherwise? Ah, no, that's not what I said. Kimber changed tactics. And as for who are we? We're Mira's, McCaskey's kids. Do you remember the McCaskeys? Huh. So you're Ada's granddaughter? That explains why you're not there. We exchanged puzzled looks. We're right here, Mr. Prescott, Kimber said. You know what I meant, young lady. They all knew. They knew I rescued the town. That's my town. Of course that they were going to let me do anything I wanted as long as the money kept coming in. That's why it was my town. Is the money still coming in? Kimber tested. Well, you're here, aren't you? They didn't like it, but they took the money. They didn't know. Not everything. They didn't, but some suspected some. And they must have been okay with it because they kept electing Cleary and they kept taking the money. Prescott picked up a pawn and ran his fingers over it as he talked. It's just a powder, you know. So unassuming. A fine soft powder. The powder doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know it's bad. It's the people who say it's bad. But it needed to be done. You know that, Ada? You know why we had to do it. Kimber hooked him in. I know we had to, but it's your son. I don't think he's doing it right. Well, of course he isn't. The elderly Prescott slammed his fist on the table again, kind of outraged at his own son's doings and everything. And two rooks tumbled to the floor. Oh yeah, this is part 2, so this is gonna extend to probably an hour or more. But we are getting near the end of it, so buckle in. We probably might have a twist and turn. Something that just might burn into your brain for a good while. They were mine. He took them from me. He thought he could do it better, but he took mine, and he ruined my legacy. Decades of work, and now it's all run by the powder. It's the dust of the crumpled empire. What about the skinned men? I asked, caught up in the moment. What are you talking about, boy? He growled. In a treehouse, the triple tree. What is it? What is it for? Triple tree? I didn't authorize that. We paid triple the price, but it was only short for a while. When things were slow, we certainly never changed triple. That's bad business. We never charged triple. Where is Has my idiot boy been telling you that? Did he offer you triple for them? He's ruining my town, isn't he? God damn it, Jimmy. You get him in here, Ada. Get my boy on the phone. You tell Jimmy I want to talk to him. You tell him they're still mine. Ada, get Jimmy on the phone. Kimber jumped up and Kyle pushed her behind him as the old man rose to his feet, tall and imposing. We were backing towards the door when the orderly came in with a disapproving look on his face and shooed us out. Long after we made it to the lobby, we could still hear Tom Prescott yelling for his son. The ride home was quiet, and Christ, this headset. The ride home was quiet, and I spent it trying to fit the pieces of the puzzle together. The skin men, the triple tree, the shiny gentleman, and the powder. These things seemed to have been pulled blindly from the either random and meaningless. The veil over my eyes was thick and heavy, but I was closer to Borrasca than I'd ever been before. I could feel it all around me, but I couldn't see it. I could almost touch it, but I couldn't yet comprehend it. I suddenly realized that Kyle was pulling over off the road, and I snapped it out of my contemplation. He put the car in park and turned around to look at me in the back seat. Is this really about Whitney, Sam? Yes, I said. Kimber watched us with worried eyes. Why do you think that? The cops, I mean, even your father confirmed that Whitney ran away. I don't believe him, I said through clenched teeth. Look, Sam, we're getting pretty deep in here, and I am with you every step of the way, but I have to know there's a reason we're doing this, and pulling Kimber into this too. I have to know that this is important for you for the right reasons and not just an obsession. I looked out the window and realized he'd pulled over near the West Rim Prescott trailhead. He was right to Rotary, and even be more so protective of Kimber. Kyle was thinking, and so was I. The powder. If Borrasca really did involve moving mass amounts of drugs. Thank you for saying you like my reading. But massive amounts of drugs. Did I really want to involve my friends in any of that? Something any further? This wasn't their fight. I loved these people, and could I really risk their safety for my own curiosities and vendettas? But as hard as I wished I could let them go, I knew I needed them. I have to know what really happened to Whitney, I whispered. Kyle turned back around without a word, and Kimber placed her hand on mine. I jerked my hand away and crossed my arms and then immediately apologized. Kimber just smiled in a forgiving sort of way. Kyle sighed. Sam? He was interrupted by the piercing ring of Kimber's phone. She scrambled for her cell phone, but then she saw the name on her screen quickly appear. Dad? Ensuing silence followed. Wait. What do you mean? Kimber said. We couldn't hear what was on the other line, and... Dad? She said again. We still couldn't be able to hear what was on the other line. No, wait. Slow down. Hello? She said. Hurried, frantic, and beyond worried. We could see it in her eyes. She took the phone away from her ear. Something happened to my mom and she's at the hospital, she said. Tears filled Kimber's soft green eyes. Kyle threw the car in gear and screeched off the parking lot. We made that 10-mile trip to the hospital in a matter of minutes, which was criminally fast on surface streets. Kyle stopped the car at the emergency entrance, and we all ran inside. A deputy was there waiting. He refused to answer Kimber's desperate questions as he led us to Kimber's father. When the deputy swung open the doors, I saw my dad sitting next to Kimber, and I braced myself for the worst. Kimber's dad took her in one direction and my dad took me in the other. Before he said a word, I saw Kimber crumble to the floor on the other side of the room. I looked at my dad helplessly, and he gave me a sympathetic nod and pulled me into a hug. We sat down in the corner, and I stared at my hands as he quietly explained that Miss Testaro Went grocery shopping at around 1 o'clock. Came home. Put the groceries away. Made 2 lasagnas and a meatloaf. She put them in the freezer. Then she got in the car, drove to the hospital, parked in the shade, took the stairs up 7 floors to the roof. She jumped off of it. She lived long enough to apologize to the EMT who found her. Goosebumps formed all around me. Body running cold and rigid. Hairs all standing up. As I watched Kimber fall. She fell all right apart as her mom's body slowly grew cold in the morgue 1 floor beneath us. Well, even if it's not scary to you, Anthony, it's hooey. The scary thing about this is the reality, the way that these things happen is just too realistic. To wrap this up, or to really summarize things, we entered a time skip of 7 years since the first story. Sam and his family trying to function, move on, and do well past the fact that Sam's sister is gone. To pretty much have someone that you endear as a sibling or someone loved to you just gone, and you have no idea what happened to them. They're just completely gone. Would you might be obsessed? Would you do everything in your power to just find out what happened, even at the expense of it fucking you up completely? Or maybe there's some relief, maybe there's some great optimism with it. And then you and your friends trying to function and do well with life, especially in your teenage years of working, getting your job experience and going to school, balancing that out. Maybe you might have a cool job, maybe you might have a boring one. Either way, a job's a job and you still have your income coming in. And you and your friends, these are people that you've been with for multiple years. I honestly wish I knew what it was like to have someone besides family that you know for multiple years. Maybe you might be the type of person to help me see that, but as life likes to become life, tragedy strikes again, and depression is a horrible thing. I hope that one day that, oh yeah, this is definitely the outro. Just summarizing things that happen, really. This is something that actually does hit hard to home with me. Because like I said, depression is a hell of a thing that I hope you guys don't go through at all, or as bad as this. Because I'm not gonna lie, this fucking headset, I swear to fuck Oh, sorry about that. But I really do hope that depression and all that other type of stuff never hits you. Or as bad. But the true scary element behind this is that things are unexpected. Genuinely unexpected. One day you might be at. I've had depressed family members. Luckily, I haven't had to go through it. I'm actually really happy for you. I am. I'm happy that it hasn't gotten to that far, this extent, you know? But it's just, that's honestly the reason why some days I'm not able to do videos. I'm not able to do much of anything really. I suffer from like severe clinical depression. Like, I don't even know how to explain it except for just it's crippling sometimes. And whenever I am out of it, it's like you see me work my magic, you know, or at least I try to, given with what I have. Doesn't help the fact that I'm also bipolar too, so yay. But the cool thing about the end of this is, yeah, Bodrix is an asshole. But the cool thing about this is you can still help, you can still do everything, and you still end up losing that person. It feels like you're at fault. It feels like you should have did more. Let me tell you the story of my best friend named Makayam. This was back in high school. God, it was so many fucking years ago. And this is an actual story, so man, it's crazy how much we have in common, to be honest. Yeah, it is crazy, Sean. Genuinely crazy. I hate talking about this story, but it's also important to just spread the awareness, get all of it out there. Sometimes I like to think about where Makayam would be, because the thing with Makayam was that this was the type of guy that was just amazing to be around, genuinely amazing. This was someone I aspired to be. Tall person, you know, blonde hair, always happy and shit like that. Dude had like a relatively deep voice and was just sarcastic. Kind of acts the way that I do, you know. And he was a white guy, so just to give like a broad or vague picture of that. Him and my other best friend, they were both my best friends, you know, but they were arguing over a girl at the time named Abby. They get into it and some other shit, and man, it just got weird. And me and Mikhail always used to hang out at the bus stop every morning. I would bring a Pop Tart, and I fucking loved it because me and him would sit there and eat that Pop Tart, or sometimes he would bring a Pop Tart, and we would just eat that, eat our own Pop Tarts or some shit right there at that bus stop. We always talked about taking a bike ride and just enjoying ourselves. We planned to do a lot of shit that following summer. And one day he doesn't show up at the bus stop. I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe he got sick or something. Those days turned into weeks. And I grew more concerned because I actually tried messaging and tried talking to him and some other shit. No response. I knew exactly where he lived too, and he wasn't far away from me. I'd never been to his house or anything yet, but like I said, we planned to. Everybody at school is asking what the hell happened to him and stuff like that. And, we're still continuing on. It's like, okay, what happened to Mikhail? One more thing that I do need to add into to really just cement some of this stuff too is that this was sophomore year. Yeah, this was sophomore year. We had this one class together that we fucking loved. We absolutely loved. And everybody in that classroom was like family to each other, right? You could be able to just relax. And the teacher was super duper cool. She was also one of the teachers for track and stuff like that. But you go into that classroom and it's like everybody knew each other. Everyone actually cared. Everyone was interested in what the other person was doing. Even though I was a recluse and I kept to myself, everyone still did right by me and interacted with me and all that other type of stuff. I felt like I belonged there. We felt his absence. We really did. We all loved Mikhail. And I'm going home that day. Well, one of those days. There's some yellow tape outside of his house. And I wanted to get off at that bus stop and be like, yo, what the fuck is going on? I remember some of my friends got out and they went towards that house too. I was more afraid of my dad getting onto my ass, so I went home like usual. Went on social media, didn't hear shit because I was concerned, and I would have left, but I had to go take care of the dogs and some other shit. So I really couldn't leave to go check out what was happening. And I go to school the next day thinking things are going to be normal. It's the morning time, right? Before school even starts. My friend Zane, he jokingly and almost really, really fucked up says, "Hey Jay, did you hear the news? Mikhail offed himself." I just look at him going, what the fuck? Okay. You have to be joking. You have to be kidding. And he's like, nope, he really did it. I know some people didn't like him. I know some people whatever. I don't know with Zane. But he was just telling me what happened, and I didn't believe him. I didn't believe a lick of what... Sorry for the burp. Of what he said. Man. My first hour, because at that time, at that school, I only had 4 classes, right? But they were long as shit. So pretty much if you had a very sucky teacher, my condolences. But I get past first hour, and that second hour class was the one that I said we all felt like family. So I'm walking there like normal. The thing with high school is I always had my backpack with like one strap on and the other strap just like dangling or whatever. I don't know, I always was like an edgy fucker or some shit like that. I just did that to be different. Just hold on to my backpack strap with just one strap and just drag it all around. Damn shame it hurts losing a friend, Sean said. Yeah. The roughest part about what comes next is I come over to my second block class and there's people crying and hysteric outside the door. This fucking headset, I swear to fuck. Sometimes I just want to grab my fucking revolver and shoot the shit out of this headset. Sorry, that's my rage coming out a bit. Also, what's this background? It's supposed to be a cave where light shines through. It's trying to find its way out, but it never does, you know? But that light's gonna keep on shining and go through every single hole that it can to just... Maybe it just wants to shine, brighten up every single hole of darkness it can find, or it's trying to find its way out. We don't know, you know? But like I said, there's people crying and hysterical outside the classroom. And yeah, it does look nice. There's people crying and hysterical outside the classroom. I'm like, okay, it can't be what I think it is. What happened, you know? And I'm trying to come inside, and the teacher just looks at me and she says, "Hey, I got something to tell you." And man, I wasn't even prepared, because I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. She just said Mikhail passed away last night. I just remember being back in my room, just asking what the fuck happened. They pretty much said that I was just blacked out for the rest of the day. And I just remember my mom was there, and I cried like a shit ton of just... I still remember that day very fondly, really. My mom, we drove over, because what is it, I was staying with my dad at the time, but they called my mom to pretty much, she was still crippled at that time, but she drove literally to the other side of town to just make sure I was okay, you know? And she cried with me because I remember telling her sometimes that, hey, I'm depressed and I'm going through a lot of shit too, and she easily thought that that could have been me. The first thing that we did was we went over to Mikhail's house, talked to his parents, and it turns out we were the only, my bad, not only, that would have been fucked up to say. We were the first people there. Secondhand sadness hitting hard right now. I'm sorry for that, Sean. I really am. Let me tell you something that I don't tell a lot of people. The reason why I'm so happily and bubbly all the damn time, or at least that it appears to be, is... Fuck, this kind of hits me like a brick. Fucking not even a brick, it hits me like a fucking nuke right now. I'm actually trying to hold back tears, really. You know, it's like you kind of get like that tingle in your eyes, things get blurry. It's like looking through a mirror or whatever. It's just... or a crack or something in like a glass. It's just... I have way too many things to be sad about in my life. Just like anyone else, it's just... I try to do everything within my willpower to just not think about it. For example, all the things that really ail me is just majority of the people in my life that I have loved, and I mean genuinely loved, where it's like I ask myself a whole lot, am I even capable of really loving again, or just feeling things out? I still feel them, but it's just more intense. It's like regaining that feeling, you know? Through a mirror, I cannot think of a more ironic analogy. Yeah, it's like your eyes, you can feel them starting to water up, and I'm doing a really good job at just holding back on all of it because, like I said, the people that I have really, really loved throughout my life, they have either passed away or they left. And some of these people I have trusted, the ones who did leave, I have trusted them with so much stuff, or just I've been hurt by people in inconsequential ways where it's just I have trust issues, like severe trust issues, and despite that I still try to be open and available to any and everyone because I know what it's like to not have that emotional support, that one person there, you know, to where it's just like you don't know, but it's just you can still call upon that person really, or whatever you would need from them. But back to what happened with Mac was I don't know why. It's like whenever I really do feel any type of emotion, my default is just to get so angry that it doesn't even make sense. I could be happy as hell, and the first thing that starts flooding throughout me is just anger or just sadness. But we talked to Mac's dad, and I tried holding back tears so fucking hard, you know. I can tell you one thing, bro, I'm not leaving you. I might be here less often at times, but I'll always be here, or try to be when I can. Thank you, Sean. I try to as well. That's the main reason why I started doing streaming, really, is just sometimes I don't know, but what I do know is that I can be there for people. We can have a genuine good time. Feel like there are lots of things we could be able to talk about and just sort through. Because it's like, I don't want to be here just for the fun, really. It's just like, there's a lot of aspects with life that people don't know how to navigate, that either I navigated through a lot better, maybe I can bestow or help you out with something that you're going through, or maybe I can even just ask for answers because we're all here at the end of the day. It's just life is genuinely what you make out of it. But back to what happened with Mac was his parents were devastated. I mean, think about it. You have a child and things are going really, really good, and then it's just one day they don't. I'm like my friend group's therapist, to be honest. I'm not half bad at helping people out. Oh, yeah. The ironic part is I'm the same thing too. For majority of my groups, like I always say, I act very goofy, carefree, and I guess I just know how to listen and give supportive advice. Hell yeah. I'm the same way too. It's just weird because it's like, for me, I feel like I can pretty much do that for everyone else. It's like, I'm the catalyst of everyone being able to be themselves, comfortable, or whatever you would want out of someone. But I feel like I'm not able to do that around people. That's why whenever I stream, I feel like I'm actually able to. It's a way of expressing myself. Almost like art in a way, or maybe it is. I know the more and more I continue This fucking headset, I swear to God. But yeah, right back to it. It's just like, I find it okay not to know, genuinely. It's just how you continue, how you carry on, and just go about it. Because the biggest thing for me that I'm dealing with now is just dealing with the loss of my ex. She hasn't passed away or anything, it's just, I think about her a lot. Because this is someone that I genuinely saw life with. We were going to have a child, get married, and just. Jeez, this outro has been 30 minutes. You should probably wrap up soon. Yeah, I'll wrap up. I'll just state these few things and then I'll pretty much be on my way. This is someone that I had wanted to pretty much. I mean, you'll obviously know it one day whenever you find someone that you really care for a whole lot that's outside of family, and maybe you want to start a family with them. Just pretty much still dealing with the loss of that, and everybody and their mom would tell you, get over it, this, that, and the other third, and maybe they've been through it too. But it's not really what you need in the moment of just someone shouting and telling you over and over, get over it. What do you want me to do? Just like find the next person, not heal or learn, reflect from my mistakes? Everyone's generous with everyone else's shit except for their own, you know? But it's like some days I'm trying to move on, I'm trying to do better. Maybe if she does. Your camera keeps glitching and makes you look goofy in a PS2 or PS3 graphics type of way. Yeah, it's a weird camera. I mean, I have technically two cameras because it's like the camera you're seeing is my webcam, and then the other camera that you see whenever I do Roblox streams and stuff like that is the one for the console. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. Trying to move on from my ex really, because I'm starting to see that even though we had a lot of bad qualities, we still had some good. I try to find the genuine goodness in people despite all the bad. And it's just trying to move on from that is hard. Because just as soon as I think that I'm getting over it, I get reminded in some type of way, and it's just, it fucks with me. I don't want to drone on about it too much, but just, it's there. And I have to learn how to deal with it now before it comes back and fucks me up in some other ways to where it's just, this is the type of stuff you can't keep running from. Thank you, Sean. But short story with Mac was he got bored with life supposedly. And I don't think that's the actual reason, but that's pretty much why that's half of the reason of why I still continue to do a lot of the things that I do. Because if life is boring, no way in hell, if life got so damn boring to the point to where I would take myself out instead, I never want that to happen or do that to someone. Well, this has been a hard thing to stomach and talk through, but I'm your host, Grim, or Jay, and thank you for being with me tonight. Hopefully you had a delight, or whatever you took away from this, let me know. But alas, thank you for sticking around. See you tomorrow.